Hi, everybody. Just getting logged on. I'm nowhere fancy today. Sorry for the disappointment. No beautiful thing to look at. Oh, I'm so happy. Yay, you got everybody's, it looks like everybody's got their links. This is awesome. I'm just letting everybody get logged on. Bear with me. Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm in no place wonderful this time. Sorry. I'm kind of having a bad hair day, but you can't tell, so yeehaw. Hope everybody can hear me. Everybody's got their ears on and we're rocking and rolling.
Did you get back?
I got back. I am safe. I am currently in Simi Valley. I have survived my adventure, but get ready because there's more adventures coming. You have no idea. Wednesday with Widget may become a travel channel. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But it is nice to get out and about and see new places, right? Is there anybody in here that caught Dennis Block's webinar with Agla the other day? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay. Just thought I'd ask. Glad that you caught that webinar. I found the information when looking at the very big picture and the broad scope of things very interesting. I'm sure Arlene would agree with me. We have new courses coming up. I'm telling you about them. You're getting this firsthand. There is a plethora of videos that are about to drop to help us with various things like dispositions of security deposits, how to talk with a difficult tenant, some of the other challenges that we face, and when to wear our hats. I noticed that a lot of people are starting to wear hats that aren't necessary. Example, if all of your tenants start calling you with so-and-so's having a party and it's loud, you're not going to go bang on the door and tell them to turn the music off. You're going to call the police. Yeah? Oh, yeah. So it's important that we know which hat to wear when, okay? Because we don't deal with noise complaints. That's the police, right? So when your tenant calls you and says, so-and-so is having a party, they're making noise, thank you for letting me know. Please notify law enforcement. That's who regulates the noise level within our community. Not us.
Do you have the tenant do it or do you do it?
I asked the neighboring residents to do it because in LA County, it could be harassment if I call for a noise complaint and contact the police, right?
Gotcha.
So it's very much more important that rather than us reacting and calling the necessary people, we're delegating the complainant, the tenant that's calling to complain about the neighboring resident to the proper authorities. If we do it, it's deemed as harassment, right? Everybody paying attention? It makes more sense for us, instead of to wear all these different hats, for us to divert the complaint to the person that needs to put that hat on. In other words, and I'm going to give you a couple key factors of verbiage to use here. I don't know why this one piece of hair is sticking out as bright yellow on my screen, but in my frame, it looks like this piece of hair is just floating right in front of my eyeball, and it's driving me crazy. I apologize. There, I fixed it. Now I don't see it. Let's go back to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about tenant complaints. Trying to let people log on. Sorry, I forgot my tripod thing, so I'm poking and moving around a lot. Not trying to make you seasick. Apologize. I'll hold still. Okay, back on track. We are talking about tenant complaints. And when a tenant complains to you about another tenant, that is what we are talking about. So when you get a complaint from a tenant about another tenant about noise, we don't go banging on the door telling them to turn their radio off or stop their party. We send the police. That's who regulates the level of noise within our community. That's who governs the quiet hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., right? It's the police. Party after 10 o'clock, you call the cops, right? They go knock on the door and tell them to turn the music down, not you and me. Wear the right hat, okay? Same thing happens if they're complaining about a neighboring resident saying a smell's coming from their unit, or they're hoarders or pack rats or whatever's going on, okay? Maybe they need to contact code enforcement about what's going on with that tenant. Yes, you're telling them to call the cops on yourself, okay? Maybe they need to call adult protective services regarding the smell coming from the unit or whatever's going on with that neighboring resident. We only wear a property manager hat. We are the monkey in the middle that diverts them to the proper channels. That's all, okay? We don't wear all the hats. We're not lead-based paint certified renovators with the EPA, not all of us. So don't pretend that we know what we're talking about if we don't. Refer them to the proper authorities. Refer them to the proper channels. Don't wear the hat, okay? We don't know if it's mold, only code enforcement, a licensed industrial clinical hygienist, or the health department can identify mold. We don't know that that's mold. All we see is microbial growth. Could be mildew. We don't know. Okay? Don't put the hat on if you don't have to. A lot of property owners and a lot of property managers think that they have to have the answer to everything. The more answers you have, the more problems you create. Okay? I'm going to teach you guys something very simple right now when you're screening a tenant. Okay? You know when you have to deny them? And they want to know why? When you give them a reason, it creates an argument. Ooh, want me to say that twice? When you give them a reason of why you denied them, it creates an argument. Oh, I didn't have an eviction. That wasn't me. That was an ex-girlfriend from 6 years ago. She didn't move out when we broke up, so she got the eviction and it's showing my name, but I left. That's not on me. When you give them a reason, you create an argument. If you don't want the argument to happen, here's what you do. Pay attention. I may ask questions later. Thank you for applying with us. Unfortunately, your application came back denied. Before you ask me why it was denied, please take note that I put in all of our criteria into the screening system. The screening system then tells me I push run your credit. What happens on my screen is I either get, hang on, somebody's trying to call me. Sorry, you guys got me back. Somebody's trying to call me. I apologize. On my screen, I either get approved, approved conditionally, or denied. It doesn't tell me anything else. It doesn't tell me why. It doesn't tell me who. It doesn't tell me where, when. But in your adverse action letter that is going to be sent to you, it tells you why you were denied and how you can obtain a copy of the credit report. Remove the argument. If you remove the argument, there isn't one. So when you're screening people and you have to deny them, okay, use that tactic. My screen either tells me approved, approved conditionally, which means with a cosigner, or denied. Unfortunately, yours came up denied. I don't know why. It doesn't give me details, but you will get a letter in the mail explaining to you why. With that said, that's what eliminates the argument when you have to deny an applicant. If you don't have the answer, you don't have the answer. And it's okay not to have the answer sometimes because we don't want the argument. Make sense? Val, I see that you're asking something. I'll get right on it. If you guys have questions, let's address them. But in today's episode, I am trying to give you tools that will help you, not hurt you.
Patti, on that same topic, so if they ask, well, who sends the adverse action letter?
The screening company, because that's who it comes from, unless you're sending it or you're printing it out and mailing it. I will be sending you an adverse action letter that explains to you why and how you can get a copy of your credit report. You don't have to tell them what the letter says. The letter tells them why. You have too many delinquent accounts on your credit report.
Okay. I always just mess up when they start. When you don't have that corporate like shield of, I don't know, corporate sends it out, and they know that I'm mom and pop. And so I send out the letter. So if they ask, well, aren't you the one sending out the letter? Therefore, you should be able to tell me what it says on there. So can you do that? That's where I kind of fumble.
No, unfortunately, it doesn't give me that detailed information. Remember, if you have the answer, you create the argument. So create the I don't have the answer.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem. You guys bear with me really quick. I'm about to kill one of my children. I didn't mean that in the literal sense. He keeps calling me, and we're just going to invite him to the thing because he probably has a property management question, and it just makes more sense to invite him, right? Let's see if he shows up. I'm sorry. Just so you guys know, I have kids in the industry. Some of them are accountants in property management offices. Some of them work in the legal field. I have kids involved in the industry, and they ask same questions like you guys do. Let me get to Val's question now that I have invited him and see if he stops calling us. Okay. Patti, I have a long-term tenant who we have warned several times about garbage disposal issues. She just had a clogged kitchen sink, and the professional plumber said it was grease. Hang on, you guys, I'm moving around. I'm sorry. Said it was grease. The tenant says it wasn't her. She's the one who has a boyfriend living there without our permissions. Should I be getting that invoice any day? I'm certainly going to ask her to pay. If she refuses, is my only recourse to take her from her security deposit when she moves out? Anyway, I still not addressed her boyfriend and his 2 dogs moving in. Yet that we supposedly don't know about. Good answer. Okay. Unfortunately, you don't, she's responsible for the plumbing, whether she or her guests did it, but the plumber is saying that the damage came from within her unit. Okay, that's the verbiage you're looking for. The grease backup and her garbage disposal came from within her unit. So it could have been other occupants from within her unit. Does she have any of those? It's a nice way to address that. Arlene, you got a couple of questions? Hang on 2 seconds. They'll be coming soon and they will be on the website, I promise. Arlene, I am at your disposal. What you got?
Yeah, 2 things. One was kind of interesting this morning on my way in the car. I don't know, I was listening to KNX and I just looked up the article, and it's a guy who has property in kind of mid-Wilshire area.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's evaluating potential tenants now, he doesn't care about their credit. He wants to know what their horoscope is, where they grew up, and there was one other thing. And he was saying that he has been able to find that a valid way of figuring if they're going to be good tenants. Oh, like Leos don't bother you, all this kind of stuff. So I guess LAHD got involved.
And what did they say?
They said it's pushing the limits to, okay. He says he doesn't deny anybody, but it gives him an idea of who he wants to have to rent to. I thought that was just kind of interesting.
Okay, so I have another one for you, okay? And you guys try not to laugh too hard and don't necessarily pick up this habit. But if you capture yourself using it once or twice, don't tell me about it. I don't want to know, okay? Had a gentleman, very nice older gentleman, said that he doesn't screen his tenants either. He does one thing. When they're done looking at the property, he walks them to their car. Always. always walks them to their car.
That's what this guy does too. Yeah.
And he pays attention to the tread on their tires. His theory is if they maintain their vehicle, they're going to maintain his house. Okay? Not saying it's a bad tactic, not saying it's a good one. Okay? But that's his mentality. Whether it's been good for him, I couldn't testify to that. And you can look inside the car. Do they live in their car? Don't look inside my car.
Val.
Don't look in my car, folks, because I live in it. Okay, you guys know sometimes if I got to go to Agla, that's a 91-mile one-way commute. 91.6 miles one way for me to go to Agla.
With his friend's car.
Yeah, he could show up in his friend's car. Good point, baby. Good point. But I'm just saying, don't use that as a tactic to say I'm going to rent to them. I live in my car. Not really, but you got to understand, I'm eating meals on the go. I'm drinking on the go. I have all kinds of camping gear in my car, a fishing rod at all times. You never know. But don't judge me by my car. You'll lose. You'll lose. I'm just saying. If my credit worthiness is judged by my car, we got big problems. All right, what's the second thing?
The second thing is, so I got my RSO certificates.
Okay.
And on page 2, it says here about rent increases. Okay. Applies to RSO units only. Unless amended by the city council, the allowable RSO rent from July 1 of 25 to June of 26 is 3%. And July 1 of 26 to June of 27 is also 3%.
It'll be amended by city council because they'll judge that on the CPI, and it'll be 90% of the CPI, which is 2.7% right now.
Right. So that's why because I never remember seeing that they had 2 years.
They don't. That's why it's amended. It's amended. It could be amended by the city. That was the key word that you put in there. Could be amended by the city.
Okay.
So yes, it will change. That is not the amount. We all know it.
Okay, so that supersedes this. So if I have a July 1 rent increase,
and it says
when are they going to let us know whether it's 2.7 or not?
They usually disclose that in May.
Okay.
The CPI usually comes out in April, May. Don't hold me to that, but that's when the CPI is released.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
No problem, baby.
I thought we might have another year, but doesn't sound like it.
We can hope, but the reality is it isn't always in our favor, especially in that city. It's not. So the reality is it's probably going to be the 2.7%, which is what it would be if the CPI stays at 3%, because it's 90% of the CPI is what the city just voted on.
Right, but never below 1.
Correct.
And never
to 4. Exceed 4. Exactly.
Okay. Thanks, Patti.
I have a question for you, my little LARSO guru. Okay. 10% unauthorized occupants we lost, correct?
Correct. But wait, there's a caveat. Mm-hmm. There's a caveat for that.
They're not a dependent, we can charge it, correct?
Yes, that's my understanding. If it's not family.
And we say dependent because that goes up the tree, down the tree, and both sides. So if they're related, forget it. If they're married, forget it.
Forget it. Correct. But if it's just a person, yes, that's my understanding.
A girlfriend would be an unauthorized occupant. If a marriage certificate came about, it would not be an unauthorized occupant anymore.
Correct.
Okay, and I love the way we talk about things when we're chit-chatting because I know that it helps other members. Mm-hmm. And thank you, Arlene, for answering my question.
Sure, you're welcome.
I just thought I'd take it one step further and make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
And Val, yes, I always have the perfect words to say because I dance around the fire with no shoes on. Okay. A seasoned investor said they'd walk them out too and look inside their car and also show up at their current address to verify rental history. I don't suggest showing up knocking on their door, but driving by and looking at their yard, etc. I don't see that as an issue. Also, if they have towels taped up in the windows instead of the curtains or blinds or something along those lines, this is all things that you can do. Yes, we have our local assistant drive by their current residence as our homes are fairly close by. She's found several disasters that were avoided due to her research. Be careful what you do. Some things could be considered discriminatory in the state of California. But yeah, there's different tools that you can use other than credit worthiness. Okay? Think about that real quick. Credit worthiness. All right, anybody else have anything? What else do we want to talk about today?
Patti, I have a question. I know I spoke with you in regard to that one that stopped paying the tenant-caused damages. So I am going to wait until February and see if they pay February rent. Okay, let's just walk through the worst case scenario. So they don't pay February rent. Give them a 3-day, and in this case, February 2nd is a Monday. So February 1st, rent's not due. So I have to wait until the 2nd. 3 days after that, 1, 2, 3. So they have until the 5th, Thursday. So on the 6th, should I just up and take them or, send it to fast evict?
I would.
Okay. And then do I add the former damages of $900 to?
I believe that was January's unpaid rent, if I'm not mistaken.
What do you mean? Wait.
When you received January's rent, you applied the rent that the money you received to the most previous past due balance, and the money that's owed is January's rent. Is that not correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes. So I've never done really evictions personally, and then I just went one time in corporate, and then the attorney told me literally everything to say. So I don't really have a ton of experience, but in this area.
Same thing happens where they're going to go up and ask you a series of questions. The attorney will ask you questions and you answer them yes or no. Do not elaborate. Do not go into detail. Do not give additional information unless they ask you to.
Okay.
It is did the tenant pay the rent on time? No. Did that cause you to serve a 3-day notice? Yes. Did the tenant pay the rent within 3 days? No. Is that why you're here? You want your unit back? Yes. There's standard questions, and everybody's laughing right now because everybody's like, those are the questions they ask. Yes, they're very standard questions. They want a yes or no answer, not, no, the tenant didn't pay the rent, and I went there and talked to them. No, all of that, zip it. That is not it's a yes or no answer. Okay. Very standard, very specific. Is this a copy of your written rental contract? Yes. Did you rent to this person? Yes. Did they pay you the rent on this date? No. Did that cause you to serve a 3-day notice? Yes. Did they pay the rent within 3 days? No. Do you want your unit back? Yes. Then they turn and it's the tenant's turn to talk. It's that simple, you guys. If you mess that up, that's on you. Okay? Because it's that simple. Now it's a tenant's turn to defend themselves. That's it.
Okay. I haven't, the only one time I went.
When the tenant's talking, you do not talk. You do not talk. You do not say a word. That is when I'm doing this, going, please don't talk, Patti. Please don't talk, Patti. Don't intervene, Patti. Because I want to tell them that's not true. That's a blatant lie. You can't do that. You got to zip it. Okay. This is the hard part because you can't respond to the tenant's lies that are coming out of their mouth right now. You have to wait. Then the judge will ask the attorney to elaborate or go back on whatever the tenant just said. And then the attorney is going to ask you questions. He is still looking for a yes or no answer. Okay? It still is not the time to elaborate. Did the tenant have a water leak? Yes. Did you fix it the same day, next day? Yes. That's it. You're not going to go into any more detail about that. Okay? Yes or no answers, unless they ask you to elaborate. That is all. And I just gave you what questions they ask in an eviction. And you guys, and Julia, you know, I did. That's exactly what the attorney says. It's very standard practice and procedure for a courtroom. Got it?
Okay, got it. Yes, thank
Okay.
you for
Those are the
that.
exact questions that the attorney asks. They are. Are
Can
they
you
not?
repeat them? Sorry, can you repeat?
Is this a true and correct copy of your written rental contract?
Yes.
Did you rent to this person?
Yes.
Did they pay the rent for the month of January in full?
No.
Did that cause you to serve a 3-day notice?
Yes.
Did they pay the rent in 3 days?
No.
Are you here because you want your unit back?
Yes.
That's it, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you. And then I'm sure, obviously, you are well aware of this, but I guess I was not aware of it. So I thought when you go to an eviction, you know, you're already there in court. I get you're there to get possession of the unit, but I thought you would also get collect for damages. So then they said sometimes the judge will allow that, but most of the times they won't. And then you have to go to small claims. I'm like, what? I got to go through this again? I don't know. I was just kind of
Pay attention.
surprised.
Everybody listen right now, because this is going to paint the picture for you, okay? Eviction court is for one thing and one thing only. Anybody know what that is? Possession. That's it. That is what eviction court is for. If you happen to obtain a monetary judgment for money damages from the time of the notice all the way through possession, you're winning. When you get a money judgment against them for the loss of rents, you're already winning because they're not supposed to do that in that court. Okay? People that are evicting for big money, corporate cases, like $100,000, $115,000 on non-payment of rent. That's 3 months on a $30,000 commercial lease. Okay? And this happens all the freaking time. So pay attention. They go through the eviction process, get through the eviction process. Tenant turns in keys at the court hearing. Possession is no longer an issue and they're going to dismiss the case. But the attorney may then turn it into general civil to go after the money. Does that make sense? General civil, why? Because it's over $12,500. It's not small claims. Okay? So there's what Patti knows about the legal process and procedure. And other people in this room right now are going, oh, that's why my attorney did that. Oh, that's why that happened that way. Otherwise, the case is dismissed. You're done. No evictions on their credit because they surrendered keys. That's possession. That's what eviction court is for. Possession. One thing only. If you get a money judgment there, it's a bonus. But that is not what those judges have to do.
Thank you.
No problem. And everybody else, I hope that all helped you understand the process a little bit more. Anybody else? I saw other people popping on here, so if you guys got something you want to ask me, now's the time. Pick my brain.
Patti, I have kind of a business thing. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are.
Sure.
Building across the street, 6-unit building. I noticed this week tore down their garages. And I walked over and I saw posted was a sign LAHD that they're putting up 2 ADUs.
Okay.
So that means that we're going to lose 6 spots on the street.
Yep.
So parking is now going to be, which was pretty okay, is probably not going to be okay.
Correct.
Should I hold my 2 vacant garages for a bit to see whether my tenants are going to now want them? Or would I, because I could probably raise now what I was charging to consider more, because you know, like, I don't know, what's kind of your thought process on that?
Okay. First and foremost, let's let's put a little bit of clarity behind it for everybody else, okay?
Okay.
So what Arlene is saying is that in her neighborhood, there are garages at the back of a 5-unit complex. There's garages at the back. In a neighboring property, they have demolished those garages for those 5 units, and they're putting in 2 ADUs. So 5 units just lost their parking.
Yeah.
And they added 2 more units, okay? So now there's 7 units that are going to have no parking. So what I see that is a come up or a supply and demand issue, where I would then rent those garages for more money because you're going to have a parking problem in a very near future. Now, how are we talking about this and doing garages separate? What are we talking about? Our residential dwellings are on residential leases. Because the garages are not connected to the residential dwelling, we can rent them as commercial space, and they're not susceptible to residential rules. It's commercial rules on the commercial real estate, which is just the garage or storage. So that is what Arlene is speaking about. I think it's a great opportunity for you to up those garage rents, but you're going to have to wait until they rent those 2 ADUs and all of this actually starts taking effect, where you're seeing the crunch of the parking. Nobody is going to have the forethought to be smart enough to rent a garage ahead of time. They're going to wait until it's a crisis.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I have one other quick question.
Sure.
We have alternate side parking Mondays and Tuesdays, and we have a tenant that chose not to rent the garage.
Okay.
On several occasions now, I've gotten a text message saying, I've parked in your parking spot, your outdoor parking spot behind the building, because there's no street parking.
Unfortunately, that is not allowed. I need my parking spot. If you're parked there, you can be towed.
Yeah, I've been nice and have said, yes, for the few hours, but can
In
I?
the future, I
Because
just
I can't with RSO. I can't like change it and say like if you if you
just
park for
mention that there's a
certain hours.
garage. Hold on. Mention that there's garage space available and that she cannot park in your parking. No one is allowed to park in your parking. Otherwise, you have to do it for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not RSO I'm worried about, it's fair housing.
Mm.
Makes sense? If you do for
Mm.
one, you have to do for everybody. So unfortunately, this is becoming an occurrence. I thought it was just a one-time event. Maybe you need to rent a garage space to accommodate your parking because I cannot have you in my spot. If I allow you to do it, I have to allow everyone to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And
What
it's that
about getting it towed?
well, she told her she could park there. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm sorry, I thought that was a one-time thing, or this is becoming a reoccurring event. You may want to consider renting garage space because I can't allow you to park in the spot anymore. The answer is no.
Yeah.
Yes, we have, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going back to the types questions. This one goes back to Val. Yes, we have our oh, no, never mind. We already talked about that. I went back too far. We're talking about searching people's cars and looking in their yards. I heard someone started the small claims paper for damages prior to an eviction. When they went to court, they served the tenant with small claims. Someone started the small claims paperwork for damages prior to the eviction. They have, here's the problem, okay, Val, and hear me out. You don't know what damages occurred until they vacate. Whew, whew, whew. So that's the problem I have with that. You can go after the money, but you can't go after the damages that they've done to the property. You'll have to file a second small claims. See how that worked? Okay. Bill C, we had a gas leak reported in the Lake Elsinore property. SoCal Gas inspected all 7 units and determined the leak was outside of the complex on Friday night. Tenants were evacuated by the gas company without prior notice to management. One tenant from out of state had no place to go, so I secured a hotel for him. The remaining tenants stayed with family or friends. Tenants were allowed to return on Saturday evening, but gas service was not restored until Sunday after testing was completed. Number one, was it appropriate for management to cover the hotel for the affected tenants? Or is that typically the tenant's responsibility? It's our responsibility to provide reasonable accommodations. This was an emergency, so it's an entire different set of facts. Okay? It's an emergency. So with the fact
for me, just setting the hotel for him. Because
that's
actually I called the hotel.
fine. It's fine. You're helping in an emergency.
Okay.
It's not an issue, okay?
Okay.
Are tenants entitled to a 1 or 2 day rent credit due to the loss of gas service? If they didn't have gas on Friday and it wasn't fixed till Sunday, I would do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Even though it happened Friday night. Why? Because I don't want them to come back and sue me.
Okay, got it.
Okay? I'd rather give them 1 day of rent credit extra than have them come back mad. I was informed that SoCal Gas will reimburse the hotel cost, but they would reimburse any rent credits issued. Contact Southwest Gas and see if they will do the rent credit for the time period that the tenant was displaced due to the habitability issue. Those would be the words I use.
Oh, displaced. Okay.
Due to the habitability issue. In other words, you didn't fix the gas line fast enough, so they couldn't stay there. So they don't owe rent, so you should credit that also.
Got it.
Could their renter's insurance cover that?
Absolutely, their renter's insurance could cover it, but the gas company is already offering to pay for the hotel. So I'd be going down that rabbit hole before I went after tenants' insurance. I believe at that time the small claims was only for 5,000 and there was much more damage than that, but that's all they figured out I'd get if anything. Yep, you got it, Val. You understand. Damn, you are good with words. Your fire dance is working. I've been doing this a long time. I worked in a law firm for 10 years. You got to be very careful what you say on the phone. I mean, I'd have attorneys come telling me, you got to be careful. You're not giving people legal advice on the phone. We're a law firm. What are you talking about? Well, you're giving legal advice. No, I'm not. I'm telling them the process and procedure of the court. That's not legal advice. Listen to me. Oh, see, we'll go round and round. But yes, I've worked very hard to make sure that I articulate my words in a way that doesn't get me sued. And I have no problem passing that along. Teaching you guys how to deny an applicant and avoid the argument at the beginning of today's class should have been priceless, okay? Because let's face it, that's what we all deal with. As soon as we deny them, here comes the argument. Why? Because we gave them a reason. We gave them a reason.
Hey, Patty, I got a follow-up question on renters insurance.
Sure.
So last year, around this time, we had the flood in the rental and the tenant had to move.
I remember.
And she didn't have sufficient coverage, so she had to eat certain costs. And now her renter's insurance renewed, and I got the new policy, and she has not made any changes to her coverage. So would it be okay for me to let her know, like, hey, just received your coverage. I noticed that there still isn't any increases. And if this were to happen again, you'd be in the same situation, or do I just leave it alone?
You may want to bring it to her attention as a friendly reminder that she may want to you got a copy of her policy and she may want to have a look at it to upgrade where she was lacking in the previous claim.
Okay.
There's that verbiage again, right?
Got it.
That's all you can say to her is I just wanted to point out to you, I didn't see that you did any upgrades where you were lacking for the previous claim.
Okay. I'm writing this down.
I know, and it's okay. I have no problem with that. I've been watching Judge Judy to be extra prepared for small claims. Don't watch Judge Judy, okay? Present your case, and I'll help you with that if you need some powwow patty time, okay? But I will get you ready. But you want to keep everything very simple and very matter of fact and very to the statement of facts. Like I just explained earlier when we were going through what happens in an eviction court case, and everybody I know you guys all out there were like, yep, that's exactly the questions my attorney asked. They're standard operating procedure. They're just looking for a yes or no answer, and it shouldn't be an issue for you guys. Don't elaborate. It helps so much. Bill C has a question. One of the tenants in the LA unit has disappeared since July of 2025. The remaining tenant would like to add a different tenant to the lease. Since the tenancy is a month to month, would there be an issue with a new lease? Would the remaining tenant, hang on. So Bill C, the original tenant vacated the unit and the tenant that they moved in there has now been paying you?
Yeah, initially there were two people in there. One of them disappeared. We don't know, with those ICE work right now. I don't know. We don't know where
Or
he
a
is.
divorce or a fight or God only knows. I
Yes.
get it.
Yeah, so now the remaining tenant, he wants to bring a different person. So my question is, since they are on month to month, should I just issue a new lease agreement,
Is it
including
in
the new
LA
person?
City?
Yes.
Under RSO?
DBCA?
Got you. Um, if it were me and you're okay with the additional occupant and the rents being paid, I would start a new contract with the two new people that are living there. But that person that originally disappeared, you can't take them off the lease. The securities deposit still belongs to them. So you still have to keep their name on everything.
Oh, okay, got it. So keep the original two people and include the third one. Okay.
Yep, that's what I would do.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Anybody else have anything?
Patti, do you mind if I ask Belsi? Belsi, hi. Sorry, I just had a question for her.
It's okay, go ahead.
I think you might work in the Inland Empire. If you have a handyman or a general contractor that you can recommend, that would be great. I sent you a private message, but obviously if you're like more corporate and they don't do side jobs or things like that, completely understand. But I just thought I'd ask because me and my handyman are not currently getting along right now.
No, sure, no problem. I have everything: electrician, uh, H, air conditioner, handymans, everything. Okay, I will send you the information.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I love our Widgets Way network, you guys. I have no idea. Sometimes when one of you will call me and say, I need a contractor in this area, what I do is get on Widgets Way and be like, okay, you guys, does anybody have a contractor in this area? And boom, 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 all these people come up. So thank you for sharing your information with the rest of us. We really appreciate it. That's one of the reasons why I built this, is so we could all help each other. No joke, because there ain't nobody else out there helping us, right? All right, I see some other stuff coming along. Hang on. Thank you, Belsi. Belsi, if a tenant was not disabled at the start of the tenancy but becomes disabled, is the owner required to provide reasonable accommodations upon request? First and foremost, Belsi, let's talk about this. Are you talking about a reasonable accommodation or a reasonable modification? In other words, do they want you to change the rules because they're disabled, or do they want you to change the property because they're disabled? I need
Change
to.
the property because they're
Okay.
disabled.
If they want to change the property because of a disability, you have to allow it. But the tenant pays for the change. Example, a tenant becomes hard of hearing and can't hear the doorbell or the smoke detectors, then I would do this because it's a health and safety issue, so I shouldn't use that as an example. Rewind, erase, okay? The tenant wants to install grab bars in the shower so they don't slip and fall. Yes, I'm going to tell them they can do that, but they're going to do that at their expense. They're also required to put it back when they move out. It's called a request for reasonable modifications, not accommodations. And you should have them fill out that paperwork, get it approved by their physician, and then tell them, you're more than welcome to do it. You must use our contractor. And they're going to go, wait, you're not paying for it? No, of course I'm not paying for it, but I'm allowing you to do it. And you have to put it back when you move out. It's that simple. Okay. It's the difference between a modification and an accommodation. An accommodation is an us problem. A modification is a them problem. Okay. All my insurance policies have increased about $500, and at the duplex, $1,000. It's crazy. Is anyone really thrilled with their agent? I hope to get a different quote, but it's not that easy. In fact, State Farm farmers aren't even taking new California policies. No, they are not. AGLA in their magazine, I know, has Homewell insurance. You can call Ryan over at Homewell, or you can call Fuller Insurance, Fuller. And they're in the AGLA thing. That's all I have for insurance. If somebody else has something, I'm sure they will pipe up quickly.
I have somebody.
Okay, there's Arlene for you. Will you put them in the chat?
I'll try.
Thank you, Arlene.
But I have something kind of along the same lines. I just got my renewal from my personal property. And they sent me a thing to say, do you think you have enough insurance? And I looked it up, and I called them to find out what the rebuild, how much per square foot my insurance will give me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked that it only will give me $303 a square foot. I said, what am I supposed to do with that?
All right.
Because they're saying that in the Palisades, it's $800 to $1,000 a square foot.
Yeah.
And the maximum that they'll go is about $500 something a square foot. They won't go higher.
Trying to recover from the incident in the Palisades, Pasadena, Altadena, etc. We're going to see insurances make changes in our rebuild coverage. And we got stuff coming through the chat now of people to email regarding insurance, Val. I hope that helps you. That's Arlene telling you who to contact.
It was good. It was amazing, the smell. I know.
Okay, does anybody else have anything that they want to discuss? Otherwise, I'm going to get off of here. We're coming up on the hour. Anybody, this is your chance.
Yes, Patty, I have a question. So you were saying that when it's accommodation in the property, it's a responsibility. How so?
I will go pick her up.
A reasonable accommodation is you have to change the rules for the tenant based on their disability. Example, they have an emotional support animal. That's a reasonable accommodation. You're changing the rules. Their social security check doesn't come until the 15th of the month. You have to change the rules based on their disability. Okay? Does that make sense? A modification changes the property. In other words, the tenant has a wheelchair and they want handicap ramps put at the front door. They want grab bars installed in the showers. They want the countertops lowered. So you have to change the whole makeup of the kitchen. You have to widen the doorways so that their wheelchair fits through them. Okay?
Okay, got it.
That's
So
a
in that case,
modification. It changes the property. An accommodation changes the rules.
got it. Okay, understand. Thank you.
Perfect. So there's two different things. A reasonable accommodation changes the rules. A reasonable modification modifies the property. It changes the property, puts
Got
in
it.
a handicap ramp, lowers the countertop, widens the doorways so their wheelchair will fit through, things like that.
Oh, okay, I understand. Thank you.
No problem. They're very tricky because they have to do with the ADA. I'd be more than happy if you have more questions, and I want to be very thorough and make it as simple as we can so we don't confuse anybody else. Does anyone have an actual strong opinion on actual cash value versus replacement value insurance, which was about 3 times more in my old homes? I have no idea, Val. But I'm sure somebody's going to speak up in regards to something. It makes sense that it's more in an old home, but who knows? All right. Anybody else have anything? Do we have someone here with a laundry lease recorded in the property title? I don't think so. Arlene, please share your insurance info. She has it on there, David. She gives Mark's phone number is 818-985-5510. And she gave an email address is mark.polak@lamarckins.com.
Thank
So
you,
it's
Arlene. Thank you.
no problem. I just wanted to show you guys that it's up there. It's in the chat. I don't think anybody else has a laundry lease recorded on property title. And it's still so difficult to find somebody to help you. And it's going to be a real estate attorney that you need, but not one that does evictions, that does real estate law. My son did not join us in our class, Val. But once I sent him the link to join us in our class, he stopped calling me. He understood. Look, you either get on here live and show your face and ask your question or zip it until I'm done. He has joined us live before, I think. I think he has. I'm pretty sure he has. Big red beard, you guys sound
Yep.
familiar? Yeah, okay. Big red beard. Yeah, that'd be one of my children. All right, nobody else has anything? I guess I'll call my son back and see what he wants. It's probably a property management question, believe it or not. All right, everybody. Thank you. And if you guys need anything, feel free to reach out to me. I am back in California. I am no longer traveling the world, but next week that could change. We could be on a whole new adventure. You never know. All right, everybody, have a great day. If you need me, let me know, and I will talk to all of you soon. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Val.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.